Taf Lamed Aleph. If you're on your iPhone, you're on Safaria, you want to be in chapter 431. Zman B'dikat HaChametz. Uvo Bet Seifim. There are 2 halachot in the time of when you begin searching for chametz. Now these laws, for the most part, are very old. They're from the Gemara. These are not New Age rules. And if you ever want to know where a rule comes from, you see that tiny little aleph. Okay, it's really a misnomer because look in the first. There's an aleph in under Taf Lamed Aleph. You see that?
Mm-hmm.
Right next to that aleph, there's a Rashi script aleph. You see that?
Mm-hmm.
Then there's another aleph in parentheses. You see that?
Yeah.
And there's one more tiny little aleph.
Yeah.
All of those refer to different commentaries. See that tiny little aleph?
Yeah.
Follow it all the way to the left margin.
Oh, there it is.
Aleph corresponds to the Be'er HaGolan. My brother's mother-in-law wrote a scholarly article proving they used to attribute the indexing system to a certain monk somewhere in a monastery.
Oh, yeah.
And she proved that Jews have been doing indexing a lot longer than anybody else has ever been doing indexing.
Really?
This Aleph, yeah, she's a professor of library.
Yeah, it's not the Dewey Decimal System. It's
She's
the.
right, okay. She.
Is it available, this article?
Yeah, sure, she could send to me. She's a librarian, she's a professor of librarians.
Library
I don't know
science.
yeah.
That's interesting.
So the source here, Aleph, what does it say?
Mishnah Rish Pesachim.
A Mishnah in the beginning of Tractate Pesachim. So that's how you can know that this halakha comes from a Mishnah. Now, you want to say like the next halakha? Look at Bet. You see Bet? What's the source for that? Harav Magid b'Shem HaTosafot. That's the rabbi who wrote the Magid Mishnah, who's a commentary on the Rambam, quoting from Tosafot, which is from medieval France. So what you see here is that minhag as old as the first one?
Yep.
No, not at all. We're talking about 1,000 years in between at least. So it's very important when you learn these halachot, even when you're just going through Shulchan Aruch straight, is to be able to differentiate between where different halachot come from. Baruch, you remind me of nowadays when they put up YouTube videos, you can pop in pictures and the links and those things. In the olden days, you had to lift up books for the camera. It's kind of like how there's a book that talks about all the different scenes and famous movies. There's that movie about the Jews leaving Egypt. Tell me what it's called.
Exodus.
Exodus. That was called.
Yeah,
Ten Commandments, maybe. So the whole thing was the sea split. They wondered how do you make a sea split. So what they did was, this is before modern day, graphics and whatever else you could do in a video. They had these two
bathtubs,
glass walls that were holding up the water, and then they dropped them, and the water went in, and they filmed it, and they just filmed it backwards, so the people had to walk the wrong direction, and they filmed everything happening the wrong direction, and that whole thing was part of their stunt, because there's no way for them to play it, to actually make it go the other way, and there's no fancy computer program that did that for them. So that's what I feel when Brooke lifts up the book. we're still showing you things in books.
Well, Brooke's too lazy to take a picture and edit it in later.
That's it.
It's
So the second source comes from a much later authority. And when you learn halakha, you have to know, at the very least, how to balance different halachot, so you know which one is really authoritative, which one isn't. Maran brings both of them, so he feels both of them are authoritative, but obviously they're going to be different from each other. Yeah, that's why it's important to always look over there to see who said what. B'tchilat leil Yudalet b'Nisan, at the beginning of the night of the 14th of Nisan. When is that? The night before Pesach. Bodkin et hachametz le'or haner, you check for chametz in your home with the light of a candle. Bechorin u'visdakin, in all the cracks and crevices. Bechol hamekomot, in all the places, shederech lehachnis sham chametz, where it's usual that you would bring in their chametz. Let's take this apart a little bit. Okay, first let's talk about what does it mean at the beginning of the night. The Mishnah Bua and many poskim say the beginning of the night means after 3 stars come up. Now, after we check for the chametz, by the way, you know what we do? We do what's called bitul. We nullify.
Nullify
I
it.
nullify all the chametz. So the truth is, why do we even check? Why don't we just do nullification? Just what? Just I nullify all the chametz in my house. Fine, I'm done looking.
That's a good question.
Because we're
You
human.
can have that. You have to show you're making an effort.
Apparently, it's because people may not really nullify their chametz. What do you mean nullify? It means you don't want it anymore. Oh, that chametz, I got that from Mishloach Manot. You're not really maybe willing to. So we have to search for chametz, and then we nullify all those things that we didn't find because they're not really that important. So we do both. Yes. After 3 stars come out. Bodkin et chametz. We check for chametz. What is
Why don't we wait until the 14th? Why can't we do it 2 days earlier?
You can do it 2 days earlier, but the only time you could do it with the bracha is going to be at the time where our rabbis instituted us to do it. So your question still stands, even though I answered it. So, I mean, those 2 things are not the same. Why did they establish it here
all month, but like,
versus where? Come in, I have a chair right here. So, why did they establish on this day? You might not believe that our Chachamim probably only thought you needed that much time to clean your house for chametz. What we do for Pesach is not at all. In fact, you have a different problem. Most people's house the night before Pesach is already sparkling clean for Pesach. According to that, our opinion, I know there's those who disagree, our opinion is that it's forbidden to make a blessing on the search for chametz when you know that there's no chametz to be found inside of your house. That which you hide, the 10 pieces of chametz, it's a nice game. Play it with your children. I play it with mine. It's not a halacha. Sources may be somewhere in Kabbalah. It's definitely not a halacha. And if your house is clean, and you just put out bread so that you could find it, that would be saying Hashem's name in vain. Absolutely. It is our halachic stance. I got in trouble 2 years ago for saying this somewhere. That if a person does not leave one area of the house they have not cleaned, they're forbidden from making a blessing on the search of chametz.
Why would you get in trouble for saying that?
You'd be amazed at how Jews are obsessed with the way they do things wrong.
But you have to back up. If someone disagrees, they have to back up what they say.
Correct. Then well, maybe you'll find I promise you that it could be if you're a single guy in a yeshiva dorm, you're different. But the way that our families today clean for Pesach, I mean, there's not even dust you're gonna find. And I think when Maran says you have to look for chametz, it's very important. That's what you're looking for. You're not looking for corn. You're not looking for beans. You're not looking for rice. You're not looking for plastic toys in the bottom of the cabinet. You're not looking for leftover wrappers under the bed. I don't know what you're going to find in your house. That's not chametz. Chametz means you're looking for that, oh my God, my son had a pancake for breakfast, and then while we were dressing the other kid, he dragged that under his pillow. Now you might think it never happens. I used to think that never happened. I knew where I didn't eat since I had kids. Eat can be anywhere. Even if I tell them eat over here. But still, you can go anywhere. Sometimes they come home from lunch and their lunchbox, they put toys in their room. And that's what it means, search for chametz. Also, chametz has to have certain requirements we're going to talk about. Not everything that is made out of bread is chametz. If you have breadcrumbs, I'm afraid to say this on camera. You take your bread, your challah, you crush it up into breadcrumbs and you just fling it around your house. That's not chametz.
Fairy dust.
It's too small.
It's too small. To be chametz, it has to be the size of an olive.
That's interesting. So people who are looking for crumbs in their search.
It's really cute.
Yeah.
And it's important to clean your house for chametz. Chametz, remember we said the consequence of eating chametz on Pesach is karet, which is the same as eating on Yom Kippur. So we take chametz very seriously. There's a reason why we treat this more seriously than meat and milk or something else. But also, we have to only take it as serious as our chachamim took it. So when they institute the night before Pesach to search your home for chametz, there's a reason why they do it on that night. When would you check your house earlier than that? Is let's say you're traveling for Pesach. So you have an obligation still to search your home without a blessing, and then go. Okay, next, le'or haner, with a candlelight. I'm guilty of this. When I was younger, and I went to yeshiva, especially in Baltimore, we were not taught halacha. We were taught every ridiculous custom under the sun was important. And I'll make you gotta get the spoon and the feather, and they would sell that in the shul. They would sell you the spoon and the feather and the
get
candle
kits.
and the little kits that you buy. Yeah, someone's making money off of that.
With the candle too.
Really?
They used to send their sell it
Rabbi
to
Ben
shul.
Zakan is famous for saying, whenever it's on, what's the source of that minhag? He says, the General Washington. So who's that? He says, dollar bills. And that's the reason for those minhagim.
Oh, cute.
Yeah. Another thing is that people didn't have the luxury we do today of, I'm going to put my stuff away and, start eating. You didn't have much choice of what to eat. You really did have to, in a sense, go from chametz to,
It was a transition over.
yeah.
But
That
I'm
had to
gonna,
be very
I'm gonna
quickly.
argue one thing though that I think is important for us to realize. If one were to strictly follow halacha, and one were not to eat all of the processed foods that you eat in your life.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so imagine if you were cooking every day. I know it's hard to imagine for some people, maybe not for some people, but for others, if you were cooking every day from scratch.
Yeah.
Imagine your breakfast was going to be whatever,
Oats.
vegetables and oats and whatever you would be eating. Okay,
Pancakes.
and then pancakes, wonderful.
Waffles.
They didn't have
By
waffles in the
lunchtime,
country.
you're eating, I don't know, some kind of protein with a side dish of rice or quinoa or couscous or whatever you're eating. Correct? Beans, lentils.
Seitan.
At dinner, you're doing the same thing. Yeah, again, another kind of and then you're drinking. What are you drinking? Tea, coffee, water, whatever you.
Kombucha.
Beer.
Okay, whatever you have in your day. What you have to eliminate is very little.
Right.
Meaning you can't eat. We'll say, just not eating bread for Pesach is not keeping Pesach. You're right. Maybe with today's diet, but the way people used my grandparents. What is really changing? Imagine. I'm going to use for an example. Yeah, I'm going to use a classic Oaxacan diet. Okay, can I do that? You wake up in the morning, and you have fresh chilaquiles. Yes. What are you eating? Eggs, avocado, maybe a salad, some frijoles, some beans, cooked with what?
Sounds pretty good.
Tomatoes.
Salt, pepper, maybe I don't know, nothing. That, and then on
Shakshuka
top of
sounds
that, you have
Right.
fried corn tortillas. So it's not the regular corn; it's fried corn tortillas with a little salsa on top of it, some kind of sauce.
Some green sauce.
That's what you eat. Yeah. And if you're Moroccan or something, that
You're
would be
making
for you
me hungry.
shakshuka. So you'd have the same salsa, but you put eggs inside of it. Yeah. And what are you eating with that? Some kind of pita. Imagine. If you're in Israel, you'd be getting some kind of fresh bread from the bakery, and tomato cucumber salad with eggs and maybe some feta cheese or something. That's what you eat for bread, cottage cheese for breakfast in Israel. Only in America do people wake up in the morning and drink 7 gallons of coffee with Fruit Loops. And that's true. It's the only country in the world you're going to go. Maybe North America collectively. Yes, but in most countries that have cultures, they also have breakfast. And that's how you would eat. So what would you change for Pesach?
Not really very much.
So in Oaxaca, you just be very careful not to make any flour tortillas, only corn tortillas. In Morocco, you'd still be eating your shakshuka with your eggs. Instead of a lafa, you'd be using a matzah. And in Israel, instead of the baguette, you'd be eating a matzah with your Israeli salad and cottage cheese.
Wow, simple.
That's the transition between Pesach and the rest of the year. That's the only difference.
It's very simple.
It's not a difficult thing. When our Chachamim were talking about, hey, make your house kasher for Pesach. They're not talking about, in my house, you have 3 containers of Costco-sized granola bars. Who's buying 100 granola bars and keeping them in their garage? Food doesn't last past your tomorrow. So then what are you storing it? Grains. You're storing, but grains are chametz? No. Grains are not. You can wake up every morning and grind your own flour and make matzah. So what are you storing that's problematic for Pesach?
Just bread.
Just bread.
Yeah, how long does your bread last? A day? So if you already got rid of it on the night before Pesach, by the time you burn your chametz, you have no more bread. That's all it takes to make your house kasher Pesach. You concern yourself with making your dishes maybe kasher Pesach, your pot, your pan, whatever else. But in terms of food, what changes? Nothing.
Except you're not
Get rid of
Oh,
your-
so then Ashkenazim will come along, and they can't have. So if you're from Oaxaca, you die of starvation, okay? Because you can't have a corn tortilla, and you can't have frijoles, and probably half the ingredients in the salsa you couldn't eat. But you could make, I'm sure, potato salsa. And
I
I'm kidding. You can make tomatoes and onions. Yeah.
Okay.
Avocado. So my father doesn't eat avocados on Pesach. He claims
Why?
that anything they didn't eat in Europe, they don't eat now either. But I don't think Ashkenazim hold that as a whole. Okay, Ashkenazim just refrain from. So you'll be able to have your avocados and your eggs and your salsa and your matzah. You wouldn't even have tortillas or beans or anything like that. That would be the only extra difference. Even Kitniot is not such a fanatic change. So what really happens? Pesach is not so complicated. If you followed halakha, Pesach will not be so complicated. Instead, we pride ourselves somehow on, we don't follow halakha, let's be proud of it. That's how religious we are. Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai didn't think that in order to be Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, that he had to change his house over 30, they use that term, change their house over 30 days. I go into someone's house, they have signs, no chametz zone. What is that, a contagious disease? Chametz? What are you afraid of? What's going to happen? I'm going to bring chametz here, and what's going to be? I do it the Shabbat before Pesach. I put here, please don't bring chametz. Why?
People might not.
Because people are actually going to bring food and they leave it in their talit bag or in the drawers and those kind of things. Fine. But chametz is not it's just, I don't have patience to come back and check the bet once I'm done. But in your house, I don't understand. Chametz free zone. What's going to happen to you? It's not so complicated. Not so hard. Halakha is not so difficult. So you check the night before. The next day, everything that you found, you put in the fire. And you're good to go for Pesach. You cook for the Seder. And you relax a little bit on Pesach. You rest in your bed. You iron your clothes. I don't know, whatever you need to do for a Chag. It's not such a big deal.
But these days it's the OUP thing.
If
the product doesn't have the OUP, you can't touch it.
That's
With a
correct.
10-foot pole.
That's correct. The water bottles, the soap, the plates. This year the plates is the thing. I don't know if you know that. Everyone's going crazy about plates. Plates are not kosher for Pesach.
Starch.
And the paper towel, the roll with the corn back. Put on it.
The plate's like 10 years ago. That's old news.
No, but this year they're being strict.
It's-
Only certain brands of plate. You know, it used to be at the
It's
Mitzvah.
resurrected.
You would ask the Tamich Chama a question and be like, it's beneath my dignity to involve myself in these things. Today, in Kavod Tamich Chama, he writes a whole book on halachot of plates for Pesach.
Last year there was kosher Pesach marijuana.
Yeah. Well, it's fine.
What?
Can you imagine how much money they're making off of that?
Yeah.
Yes,
So it's
he's right.
just
He's right. The OU asked a big question. They went to Rav Chaim Kanievsky if they're allowed to certify marijuana as kosher for Passover.
It's a plant.
Because, by the way, there are Ashkenazi sources. I believe the Yabetz. I think so. And he wrote that marijuana is kitniot.
because it has seeds.
It has seeds.
It's kitniot.
Yeah. Sorry to all the Ashkenazi potheads.
You must be kitnioting.
Let's get rid of the seeds anyway.
No, so I don't know. But this again, in General Washington, remember? So, what I'm trying to say is for our Chachamim to institute the night before, that's a lot of time. But what else do you need to be doing? What are you doing before Pesach that you need more time than that? They don't understand. What are you going to cook 3 days before? You can't cook 3 days before. What are you going to keep the food?
Wait, is Kehillat defined as anything that has seeds?
Well, we did that class again. If you weren't here for Shabbat, and Kinyot evolved, and it continues to evolve. Today it could include quinoa. Someone told me last year that asparagus is considered Kinyot in some places. They tried to add potatoes to the Kinyot ban. My father-in-law's family does not touch potato starch. They will not eat unless it's a fresh potato, like a potato from a potato. They will not eat it on Pesach.
But then you gotta peel it.
Right, they got the peeling thing going on. We didn't talk about those traditions because that's not Ashkenazi people's fault. That there are people who peel strawberries and they don't eat fruits of anything. That's not just Lubavitch. A lot of Hasidim have these customs, but it's not. That's not. I will not pin that on the Ashkenazi rabbis because they didn't create those things.
The idea of anything that with this tea you're not supposed to be Kehillat?
What about mustard and anise and?
So you do have those on Pesach?
I have all those on Pesach, but cumin and Ashkenazim don't use cumin on Pesach and. A lot of sesame seeds, a lot of things that are not done. Poppy seeds. Part of our charos has poppy seeds inside it. And the reason for banning the seeds, we studied here, was because they look like kidneyot, which look like chametz.
Just because
No,
of like
don't.
They're
So-
seeds. They're round.
So, bודקים את החמץ לאור הנר, with the light of a candle. Chaver, do you need a candle?
These days, no.
You're saying
Yeah,
a
but-
flashlight is better because it's brighter.
So I see all the poskim that say you need a flashlight is better because it's brighter. Watch this. Zev, can I borrow your flashlight? Thank you. How much better do I read with the Zev's flashlight?
Better.
A little bit.
Well, not in this room. If it was
The
a
Gemara
dark
says,
room, yeah.
"Shraga b'tahara may mehane." When you light a torch in the middle of the
Oh,
afternoon,
No.
what light are you, aside from burning fuel, what are you adding to the world?
No,
Nothing.
not much. Very little.
These lights don't require any. People turn off the light so they could turn on a flashlight. Halacha, what do you mean? The only reason they use a candle is because they didn't have light.
Yeah.
And the best form of light was a candle.
In Oaxaca, they will do that.
So you're saying to leave the lights on?
Of course.
Okay.
Now in my
So
house,
that-
the kids
yeah.
like the lights off. So I do a game, and then I really look for comments. I have to, by the way, you should know, half of what I do is because my kids learn a certain way in school. So I have to entertain their hopefully they'll grow up. But those who teach them might not, but my kids will grow up. For example, booing Haman. My kids, it's all they're waiting for was to boo Haman.
So
Okay, fine.
the theory, I think, is, I mean, I don't know if this is right, but the way I think of it is that if you're putting down plummets all over the place, in different 10 places or whatever, and you have memory a little bit, you remember where you put it, at least when it's dark, you have to work at finding it, instead of keeping the lights on and just going to the places where you know you put it down.
Is the purpose efficiency, or the purpose is, do you want to efficiently clean your house for chametz, or do you want to work hard as busy work?
I want to clean the house for comments, but it is a little bit of a symbolic thing that what you're doing. So, you know, you got to put in a little effort to look for it, right? That's all.
Who's wearing a watch? Can I borrow your watch? Raphael, if you were going to find your watch, what would you do?
Go directly to the beacon.
Or would you do this?
Look everywhere else. Look everywhere else but the beacon.
Great.
The only,
Go look for your watch. How's he going to find it? It's not even a way. I'm not making fun. This is not even a way. Like, even if you wanted to work hard, it's unreasonable that you would even find chametz if you were looking like this.
except everybody knows where you hid it.
But that defeats the whole point of hiding it. That it's supposed to be one person hides it and one person.
Yay!
You
You get a prize.
No, hold on. Jack is right. That's the. I mean, the reason given is that you'll look better. But I don't believe that you're even.
Oh, I thought it was yours.
I don't believe that she even. I don't believe that one even accomplishes anything by looking with this type of light, and especially those who use a candle.
You know,
What do you see? I've done it before.
Also, several times over the years when
Kinda
I've
like
done
a-
this,
like
I've
an
forgotten a
instrument.
piece, and it turns up.
What'd you? Okay, this is. But I mean, how of hiding things is secondary to searching for chametz. Our rabbis were not familiar with this custom of hiding things, so let's put that as a secondary. I'll talk about that. Remind me if I forget. Okay. But when Maran writes le'or hanel with the light of a candle, he doesn't mean a candle. I'm familiar with the sources, the Ben Ish Chai and the Korna Kabbalah, the beeswax candles. I know, but it's not what the poskim are talking about. When the candle, they mean you should have light. How much light? As much light as you can possibly have.
Just so everyone knows, if you hide chametz, make sure to write it down on a list.
Yes.
Yes.
No.
Yeah.
It's
I'll tell you,
worst
the
thing
Mishnah
to
Berurah,
find. Yeah.
Mishnah Berurah gives Jack's reason. If you look in the Mishnah Berurah in Gimel, so what you want to do, there's two letters in the Mishnah Berurah. Remember, the Mishnah Berurah is the bottom right commentary. There's a big aleph because we're in Halacha aleph, and then there's aleph in parentheses, bet in parentheses, Gimel in parentheses.
Okay.
I mean, even when the Mishnah Berurah hits the big bet, he's still going to continue Hey Vav Zayin. He doesn't go back to one. He continues till there. So, Gimel. Le'or hanel, with the light of a candle. Mipnei, what's the reason? Shetzarich livdok bechorin uvisdakin, because you have to check in the cracks and the crevices. Which cracks and crevices?
Oh, it was like old homes that weren't plastered or
That's
had
right.
drywall.
You know, I'm talking about dirt floors, walls that are rocks and stones and mud and some whatever is going on there.
Like some old houses in Jerusalem.
Yeah, okay, fine. Ve'or hayom lo yo'il lezeh, and daylight will not help you. It will help you see your house, but it will not help you look inside of the crack. It happens. You drop something behind your refrigerator, so you shine a light there, because even the light in the house doesn't help you with it. Correct? וכיוון שצריך שתהיה לאור הנר, and because you have to use a candle, קיבעוה בלילה. They made it at night. מפני שאז אורו מבהיק יותר מביום, ואפילו במקום האפל. Because at night, your candle will shine brighter than in the daytime. וגם, the second reason, היא שעה שבני אדם מצויים בבתיהם, it's a time when people are home. There are two reasons he gives for using a candle at night. One is because it's to check the cracks and the crevices. It's the nighttime, and that's when the candle will light brightest. Two, because it's the time when people are home. Now, Bechurim v'izdakim, you don't really have cracks and crevices in your home. You have cabinets and shelves, and you're not looking in your walls. Maybe some of you, maybe in Yerushalayim you have some kind of interesting architecture, but for most people that's not true. B'chol ha'mekomot shelo yachnitzam chametz, and all of the places where you would normally put chametz inside of, what does that mean?
Kitchen, cabinets,
Where would you not normally put food?
bedrooms.
People eat in their bedrooms?
Bathroom.
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 We don't allow food in our bedroom.
Sorry, when I grew up, that was the rule also. But some houses are not like that.
Because of the ants
Right.
Yeah.
and crumbs in the bed and all that.
Bathrooms? I don't think you have to check your bathrooms for chametz.
Hope not.
Yes.
Right, you never know. But yeah, okay. Now what else?
Problem
The
with
garage?
kids, though.
Kids are
Well,
okay.
garage,
No, we
you
store a lot
you
of
store
stuff.
food.
We store a
That's
lot of
different.
stuff.
Like in
Store,
your
so
house,
you have to go look in the parts of the garage in which you store food. I'm sure there are parts of your garage where you keep all your tools. I don't think you have food over there.
Your car.
Yeah. That's
Your
true.
car.
Yeah.
do you eat when you
And the
drive?
Mishnah Berurah mentions that even if it's the kind of
Food in
place
the
where
car, not-
you normally don't use for chametz, but you have used it for
I don't
chametz,
need it.
you have to check
Text.
it. So it doesn't mean like, oh, if you sometimes
Text
eat there,
pictures of food.
you have to check that for sure before bed. Yeah, that makes sense. Halacha bet. This was the one that comes to the Rabbi. Yizaher kol adam. A person should be very careful. Shelo yatchil b'shum melacha. You should not begin any work. Velo yochal, and you cannot eat ad sheivdok, until you check for chametz. This is a big struggle for me.
You're taking it at night.
That's right. So
Yes,
from
that's
when the
right.
time of Arvit begins,
Oh.
you're not allowed to eat or do anything, work, anything like that until you search for chametz. It's a big problem for me
Sure.
because sometimes the things that are going on in my house, you don't know what my house looks like the night before Pesach.
I've seen it.
Yeah, it's a train station, and it takes sometimes until 3 o'clock in the morning for me to be able to search for chametz.
Oh, wow.
Very late. It's a problem. Really, it should be that my house at 8 o'clock is right. I'm not a dictator. I don't have control over what happens
We
there.
have to do teshuva for that if we like stayed up late, did it like midnight before? I mean, because Yom Kippur already happened, right?
So you want to do this as soon as you can, but your house also has to be ready for it. Meaning, what's the point of me searching for chametz if there's chametz all over the place? So I consider part of that cleaning up that's going on in my search for chametz. But really, the way our chachamim ensure that you won't forget or push it off too late is you cannot eat, you cannot work, you have to do taxes, not tonight. You're not allowed to. You cannot sit in your don't do it. You want to eat dinner, you're not allowed to eat dinner until you made it. Sorry, that's the way that Chachamim made it happen. Pele says the siman is emet, achila, melacha, and Torah. 3 things that you can't do. You can't eat, you can't work, you can't study Torah. The moment the mitzvah begins, on the night before Pesach, that is your only concern. ואפילו אם יש לו עת קבוע ללמוד, even if you have a regular time where you study, לא ילמוד עד שיבדוק. You should not learn until you check. So what night is that going to be? Thursday night. It's a problem. Imagine if we had cola. Imagine. We wouldn't be allowed to have cola until everyone finished their search for chametz. Now, for me, I have a double for you. I have to search in my house. I also have to search in the Beit Knesset. You may have to search, according to Halacha, you might have to search your cars.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I was saying.
So, what happens for me is after I search in my house, sometimes I'll even come here because the house is not ready. I'll search here first. Search my cars. Since I had kids, my cars are not what they used to be. And I search my house. It's 4 places I have to search before I can eat.
You have to do the Beit Knesset, or someone else can do it?
If someone else would do it, then that would be great. But I don't have someone else to do it.
So the car presents an interesting problem because you want to get rid of the chametz that's in the car, and you should probably do it earlier than the day before.
That's right.
Yeah,
So I clean my car before Pesach,
yeah.
and then I don't check it at night.
Then you don't check it
Correct. It's already checked.
because it's already clean.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's right.
Just take the car to the car wash. Right?
You
Yeah,
can,
have it
but
back
the
in.
thing is, you can't do it on the day, on the Friday, for example, because you're supposed to. If
Get
that's
rid of
part of
it.
the yeah.
Vim hitchil lilmod מבעוד yom, and if you began studying from the beginning of the day, and tzarich להפסיק, meaning you started studying before the sunset, you don't have to stop. Says the Ramav, ויש אומרים שצריך להפסיק, some say you have to stop studying Torah. וכן נראה לי כאן, that's what seems to be the beautiful. So Maran says if you began shiur today at 7, and then the sun, it's at 6:30, and at 8 o'clock you're still in the shiur, you don't have to, cancel. You finish your shiur, and then you go home and check. The Rama says no. Even if it comes time, the moment the sun sets, throw everybody out and go clean your house before studying Torah. What other halacha do you have? What other time can you not learn Torah until you do something?
It's somebody passes away.
Until you wash your hands. and-
Okay, those are times where it's forbidden to study Torah
Yeah.
until something happens.
Morning brachot.
Okay, morning brachot.
Yeah.
By the way, are you allowed to?
I'll just say words of Torah, which is like the Chumash,
Okay,
right?
all right.
You can read and do other things, can't you?
Are you allowed to say words of Torah after you wash your hands? Before you wash your hands? Why not? What does wash your hands have to say the words of Torah?
You have to say because of Torah.
You have to say the blessings of the Torah. Can you
Yeah.
say the blessings of Torah without washing your hands?
No.
In the morning? No.
To do the washing of the hands first.
Busted.
What about tikkun chatzot?
There's a halacha that says you have to wash your hands in the morning.
Right.
What happens if you don't have water or you didn't wash your hands?
You can wipe them.
Use dirt.
Wash your
You could say all the brachot and tefillah with hands that didn't wash in the morning. The Mekubalim say you have to wash your hands as soon as you wake up, as soon as possible. Don't get dressed, don't touch anything, don't do that, and go right away wash, and then you can make a bracha, and then, familiar? That's the opinion of the Mekubalim. I wake up every morning, and I get dressed before I wash my hands.
What?
I'm not Mekubal. That's how my rabbis did it, that's how the rabbis did it. Well, all of a sudden, I don't know how to fly in a magic carpet yet. And then, when I'm done getting dressed, I go and wash my hands. Halacha and Shulchan Aruch. Why do you have to be afraid?
I'm just curious because it's one of those things where it's very easy to do nowadays.
To wash your hands.
Yeah. I mean, your bedroom is usually right next to your bathroom. And walk right over there.
That's right.
Whereas in the old days, I mean, you'd have to go fetch water. It makes sense. You gotta go get dressed.
Yeah.
You can't go outside in your pajamas. I mean, that's a different halacha.
Especially in winter.
Someone,
That is practical.
somebody answer Oren. Remember the rabbi we spoke about yesterday?
Well, some people used to keep a water bowl right by their
My wife used
bed.
to do that. Tell everyone I stepped on it and spilled it.
Nickel Fusser.
Get out of my room.
I did that too many times.
But I'm saying.
Give me an answer. Why not? Your question is why not? It's so easy.
Yeah.
That's your question.
Yeah.
You can ask this question about almost everything we do here. One, I have two sinks. It's easy. I have two sinks. I still don't separate them.
It's not necessarily easy to have two sinks, I'd say.
Why? If it's there.
Well, if it's there, but
My house is there. I still don't do it.
I was gonna say most places don't have that though.
If I would have two ovens in my house, I would use both of them for meat and milk. Why? So just do it. What's the big deal?
It's more convenient.
Trying to make a point. Yeah, the point is, this Judaism of we have the luxury to do so and therefore we should, is a mistaken way in which to follow halacha.
But definitely colors, Howard.
The only time which we do that, remember there was an argument in when we were studying the rules recently of how to study Shulchan Aruch. So sometimes Maran brings two opinions because he's telling you one of those opinions, if it's easy to do, you should do it. I mean, it's a valid opinion enough that if it's convenient, do it. We don't agree with that understanding anyways, but according to him, that made sense. I believe the moment we start doing all kinds of things because it's, hey, why, what's the big deal? Then what's going to happen is in 20 years you're going to walk at the shiur and you say that you put on your pants before you do that. I go, oh, you did what? That's what happened now.
So what's the halacha from Shulchan Aruch? It says you just get up and...
You should wash your hands before you pray. To clean your hands.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
But brachot, all this, you can make whatever you want. You can make a shakol, drink a cup of water, whatever you want.
Before you wash your
Yeah.
hands.
My question on that one is it's important to know what the bottom line halacha is. But then to say like, okay, well I'm just do this for myself, you know,
Right.
to build. But
That-
to say like, no, I know this is where the line in the sand is.
So I guess the difference for me is that I don't believe in a bottom line halacha. If it is a halacha, then that is the strictest and the most lenient way you can fulfill something. I mean, a deviation from the law in any direction is a deviation from the law. And even if you have a good reason to deviate from the law, so you're relying that the police officer won't give you a ticket just because you're driving fast to drop your kids off at school. You have a reason, but it doesn't mean your reason is going to be acceptable in a court of law.
But then you have this whole thing of fences around the law, the laws which are fences around the Torah. So I think, again, people have lost the ability to prioritize between, what is a fence, what is a halacha.
Where do our rabbis
Yes, it
tell
is.
us that we should make a fence for the law?
Okay, I'll vote yeah.
Everybody.
Okay, but what's the source that we have in halakha for not adding to Jewish law? Where does it say that? It's a biblical law.
Moses.
What's the example given to the prohibition of adding to Jewish law? Don't I have my book here?
John?
Yechisha.
Only wrote one section.
Your book.
Oh, like the chicken and like a chicken cheeseburger or something.
No, that's not that risky.
Never heard of that before.
There must be though.
Like, well, no, it's not. They're not related.
Right.
The Gemara, Masechet Sanhedrin, teaches us the final result of any additions to the Torah. Says the Gemara, from where do we know that anyone who adds detracts? As it is said, so said the Lord, do not eat from it and do not touch it. Rashi, the French Torah scholar and commentator, explains, the Holy One, blessed be He, did not warn them not to touch the tree. And from this addition, they detracted. When the snake pushed Chava against the tree and she touched it, he said to her, look, there is no death penalty for touching it, so too you will not die from eating it. So the fact that he added to kind of keep her away from the tree is essentially what made her eat from the tree. But that's not such a... It's nice the Gemara says that, but what about the rule of you have to make fences for the Torah? I mean, that's all he was doing, was following rabbinic law. So Rabbi Peltz asks this question. On the next page, I write. Rabbi Peltz writes in his book, one of the orange stripes. And if you'll say, make a safeguard for the Torah, and if so, was proper that Adam made a safeguard in order not to touch the tree, so that she wouldn't come to eat from it? The answer is two answers. Even though we are commanded to make safeguards and fences in order not to come in contact with the actual prohibition and not violate it, in any case, it is obligatory to know what the prohibition is and what the safeguard is, and not to join them together until it appears that the Holy One, blessed be He, commanded all of it. That is why they ended up violating the original prohibition. Because they didn't know to differentiate between what is the halakha and what was the safeguard. The second, furthermore, it should be said that it is not a general rule that we must make a safeguard for each and every mitzvah. Since there are mitzvot for which it is improper and incorrect to add another prohibition. It's already stringent enough. Or it doesn't need a safeguard, it's not such a big deal. Chazal understood that for this particular mitzvah, not to eat from the tree of knowledge, it was unnecessary to add a safeguard, not to touch the tree, and this was the reason for their violation. Not every mitzvah requires offense. By the way, the fact that Kabbalah said not to do something is not offense to the original Torah. I mean, in the terms of washing your hands. So halakha says it's okay, which means not doing it is not offense. You're not making offense around anything. It's an added opinion that we're trying to take into consideration. And like I told you, if you're a Kabbalist, and this is the approach, then you can do it, but you have to be a Kabbalist to do that. You have to give up your membership at the co-ed gym to be a Kabbalist. You can't do both.
So the halacha says you have to wash your hands before you daven. So they're saying that you have to wash your hands before you do anything. So it's pretty wide range.
That's right. But there it involves evil spirits and contaminating things and all those things. I'm not saying that it's not true. I'm just saying that that's not halakha.
So it's mysticism.
When our parents came to New York and I put him up in somebody's house and I asked them, can I fill up, they put a washing bowl for him. I asked him, can I fill up this washing bowl for you? He said, no, I'm okay. I said, no, but really, it's easy for me. He said, Rabbi Yonatan, I told you I'm okay. Get out of my room. He didn't do it. He had it and he didn't want to do it.
So do you think it was appropriate?
A lot of times what becomes a fad or becomes a thing that doesn't make it a halakha. The people don't decide for the Shulchan Aruch what is a halakha. I just had an argument on that with a rabbi. A friend of mine. Not a bad argument. A positive argument. I put out a video in which I said that in Morocco they refrained from eating certain kind of foods because they sounded like chametz. And I quoted Rabbi Yosef Masas who said that it's a ridiculous custom. That's what he calls it. He says because we read the word chametz 1,000 times on Pesach. So to not be able to say something that sounds like chametz is just, I mean, that it can't be that we're allowed to say chametz, but not things that sound like chametz. Now the logic behind it was like this. You know, people are ignoramuses and they'll say, oh, you know, I had some hummus on Pesach, and oh, you had chametz on Pesach. Well, then they'll go to the neighbors and okay. So I wrote a few things. One is we don't make halachot for ignoramuses. I mean, you're in the business of making halachot for ignoramuses, but we're not. I don't suspect the Jewish people. They don't know how to tell the difference between hummus and you know challah. Yeah, it's not, I don't suspect them of that level of stupidity. The second is I said, okay, so now you're not living among ignoramuses, so it's okay for you to have hummus. What's the big deal? Oh, the custom of our forefathers is Torah. I said halakha is learned from halakhic conversations, not from Jewish cliches. I said before your parents had this minhag, they ate hummus, and therefore your parents' minhag that you believe you cannot deviate from was a deviation from their parents' minhag of being able to eat it, and therefore dropping the minhag is not a deviation, it's going back to the way your family used to do it in the first place. See how that works?
The correction. Yeah.
I say the same thing about all the halachot, most of the halachot of Pesach. If this is the way Klal Yisrael used to do it, and you can track when we stopped doing it that way, and you revert back to the way we used to do it, then you're not violating anything. What are you violating? your minhag is a violation.
Yeah.
Not the other way around. Don't be scared. What are you so afraid of? Who do you answer to at the end of the day? HaKadosh Baruch Hu and Moshe Rabbeinu's Torah. Who else do you have to answer to? The Chachamim who wrote the Mishnah and the Talmud, they taught us that's what we do. After that, everything is...
If people open up a book, wherever they are, whatever community, and they say, no garlic on Pesach, or no hummus, they think it's like required.
Right.
There's
No
no-
garlic on Pesach. You heard this
Where did
before?
that come from?
Well, they used to soak the garlic in beer in Europe, is one thing.
Is it what?
Soak the garlic in beer in some parts of Europe.
We don't do that.
No.
Why? Many Hasidim, some don't eat fish,
Why?
some don't eat chicken,
Okay.
some don't eat garlic, some don't eat, for all these reasons. Some don't eat sugar.
Right.
Sugar used to be mixed with flour.
Okay.
Fish used to come pickled in alcohol. The chickens is a famous story about a rabbi who chefed a chicken and there were grains in its belly and then they decided they're never going to eat chickens again for the rest of time. No, it's not. So when I have to treat every minhag that comes out of every community seriously, it really takes away from my job. Because
Or you could have as
how do you
water.
say garlic is prohibited? You could say garlic that is soaked in beer is prohibited on Pesach. Sugar that is mixed with flour. Remember the people who can't eat sugar? What do they do on Pesach?
The boil.
They boil it. Why are you boiling your sugar? You boiled chametz is okay?
I don't know.
If you make sugar with flour. Why do they make sugar with flour?
It's cheaper.
What do they call this thing in Mexico? They sell their like cones of sugar.
Piloncillo.
How do you say it?
Piloncillo.
Piloncillo.
Balanceo,
So you sell sugar like that.
Yeah.
Now sugar is an expensive thing, especially in Poland somewhere, Russia somewhere. So how do you sell? You sell per pound. How do you get the most money for what you sell? You mix it with flour. Flour is cheap. So I'm gonna give you a pananceo, 97% sugar. 3% the Polish health department didn't care. 3% we're putting in flour. That also helps it stick together nicely. And then you have a problem of chametz. You mix that into your tea on Pesach morning, it's chametz. My grandfather also didn't eat sugar. My grandfather in Morocco had a custom not to eat sugar because they had flour in their sugar, or so they believed. He would drink his tea, he would put a date in between his teeth and drink his tea through the date. The date would give it some sweetness. That's how he drank on Pesach. But once you find out that sugar doesn't have flour inside of it, so then you don't it's not a minhag, it's simply a reality of the place in which you live.
Yeah.
There's no reason to turn everything we did into a minhag. That's where things are different. The difference is, Chachamim, there's a whole category of them who everything that was once done must be always done for eternity. Or we realize that the things that are no longer relevant, we're able to just get them over. Now, with sugar, so what does boiling help? If you boil your sugar before Pesach, what happens when you boil
burning
sugar,
like white
flour,
sugar.
and water?
Turns into liquid.
The sugar becomes liquid. What happens to the flour?
Precipitates out.
No,
Does it? No.
Doesn't just
It
mix in.
dissolves.
Burns.
no, flour doesn't dissolve in water.
What does it do? It's in sugar.
I don't know.
I don't know.
It becomes.
I
It
don't
depends how
know
much there is.
water.
They would form like a.
It becomes dough or goes
Yeah.
to the top
Oh,
over there, and you
really?
just scoop it out. And your sugar is fine for Pesach. It's you use sugar water instead of sugar.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
But it had boiled chametz inside of it
right.
before Pesach.
Oh.
Oh, it's
Or
not.
Pesach.
That was the Ashkenazi custom. You understand that
Or
things
then
that were
mix.
boiled with chametz was okay. Once upon a time, even in Ashkenaz. Don't get so scared. The rabbis in all the places we lived, they knew halacha well. They weren't afraid. What if? Maybe this, maybe that, maybe that. No, just I was learning today halacha. I brought a book yesterday, Chazon Ovadia on Pesach. Someone called me to complain about something in the phone. What about the machinery? It might have chametz on it. I said, how do you permit it? I said, I really am so flattered that you think that I permitted this. Like, I'm the first one in Jewish history to permit such a thing. I said, I'm really just a nobody. I'm just, quoting from other people what is allowed. Let's hear.
It's true. A lot of the critiques on Facebook are that you kind of decided it or made it up or possibly.
But it can be. I wouldn't.
It's like.
I'm not that special. Look here. No, we'll learn two halachot. The first one is not relevant to what I was going to tell you right now. But it's here anyway, it's on the same page. I suggest you buy all the chicken and the fish and the meat that you want to buy today. If the prices didn't already go up, they're going to go up in a week from now. The same meat you paid $9.99 for yesterday, tomorrow's going to be $19.99. Why? Because they put it in special white paper. That's why. You're paying a lot for that white paper. If it was a proper place that we were in, the moment the grocery stores begin to hike the prices for Pesach, it's ironic. The Jewish places are hiking the prices, and Vons is busy trying to sell you matzah for $3 for $17 because it's a lost leader for them. And they're lowering their prices because it's Pesach season, and everyone else is upping their prices. You're gonna go to LA now to try to buy meat and fish and chicken. You're paying more than you paid last month. All because of what? It's kosher for Pesach. You know, I order chicken wholesale for the bed plans. That's how we order. You know, the whole year it says kosher for Pesach on it. The whole year. I buy it, dude. You know when you go and you see the trays of the chicken put so nicely? I buy it.
Except the month before, then they
I
take
buy
it
the step before. So, whatever the butcher in LA buys and then puts it on display or repackages it in the Ralph's package or whatever else it is, I buy it one step before. On all those boxes, that's kosher Pesach.
It always is.
But what does it need to be kosher Pesach for? Now, the Mutar lechol bepesach. It's permitted to eat on Pesach. This is straight out Shulchan Aruch, by the way. If I'll find you, where's that book again? One day I'll be able to remember all the sources that are part of my book.
Some sources.
Till then. It's a chapter on differences. Yeah. And okay, look with me. You have your Shulchan Aruch in front of you? Why read it from wherever you said you can read from Shulchan Aruch? Maran writes, if you go to page 24, go to 46, it's opposite page 42. Yeah. And Halacha Dalid. Hey, see hey over there? Hey?
Here?
Yeah.
on this one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Opposite page 46.
Basar,
Yeah.
Yavish.
Basar yavesh, dried meat, ugvina or cheese, vidagim shenimlechu, or fish that was salted. Why is he choosing? Why does it just say meat, dairy, fish? Maran is specifically pointing out things that were processed. The whole thing of it wasn't processed before, didn't have processed food. This was a kind of processing. Shenimlechu kodma Pesach, which were salted or pickled, whatever they were before Pesach. Velonis haru bahem, and they were not careful with them. What does it mean lonis haru bahem?
Separate
They're
them.
isolated
Worry about
from-
whether there's
Yeah, they
chametz
didn't care.
around.
They weren't there. They weren't particular whether there's chametz around or not. Or mutar leochlam bepesach. It's permitted to eat them on Pesach.
Whoa.
So all these kosher Pesach
I mean,
cheeses.
who cares that you didn't check beforehand? Who cares the table wasn't clean? Who cares the knife was? No, nobody cares.
Wow.
Let me read to you from the Mishnah Berurah. Look at the bottom. Mem Aleph.
Mem Aleph.
Mutar leochlam. You see, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 lines up from the bottom of the Mishnah Berurah, in the middle
Okay.
of the white lines. See, it's a mem aleph in parentheses. Mutar leochlam. It's permitted to eat them. Why? De'afim haya behamelach tzat chametz. Even if there was some chametz, like breadcrumbs inside of the salt. Uval'u mihem, and it absorbed the meat or the cheese, right? Absorbed that bread. Nidbatel kodim haPesach. It has become nullified before Pesach, because remember, chametz only on Pesach is not nullified. But before Pesach, chametz is not it's not. There's no prohibition of eating chametz for Pesach. Never, everything that is nullified before Pesach is okay to eat on Pesach.
That's pretty radical from modern practice.
Yeah, but look what he says. V'shuv eno chozer v'ne'or. And even according to the Ashkenazi custom, that says that chametz that was nullified before Pesach might spring back to life on Pesach and fall in a second time. That's an Ashkenazi custom. Mishnah Berurah says here it's not relevant.
Oh.
Meaning all your meat and your fish, your cheese, and whatever doesn't have chametz inside of it. But it could be that in the processing of that food, there may have been chametz around, and the machines, and the salt. And, I mean, how much worse can you get than the salt that you salted the fish with is actually chametz? In all of those situations, says Maran, it's kasher. Mutar lo'chlam b'Pesach. It's not if it happened by accident. It's okay. What does the Ramah say? Now I write in my book that Ashkenazim don't agree. Look here, the Ramah's on the next page. The Ramah is the second line from the top. Well, maybe the Mishnah Berurah is only speaking for Maran. V'yesh cholkin u'machmirim. Says the Ramah, and there are some who are strict. They disagree with Maran and they're strict. Uv'mdinot edu, and in our customs, haminhag lehachmir lechatchila. The custom is that ideally we should be strict about these things. Shelo lechol gvinot v'dagim u'basar yevesh. Not to eat processed cheeses and fish and meat. Aval, listen carefully, but im hedichu habasar shalosh pamim. If you wash the meat 3 times, kodem Pesach, before Pesach, nohagin le'ochlo. The custom in Ashkenaz is, even on an ideal level, you're permitted to eat this meat. So the only stringency Ashkenazim have on this is that when you buy your meat or your fish or your
Wash 3 times.
just wash it before Pesach. Wash your before you put it away or you cook it. Wash it.
Do they mean something special by wash 3 times? Like
Wash the times means
and
wash
dry,
very well.
wash and,
Like,
just
Thoroughly.
wash thoroughly.
It's still a term that's used. Triple wash is still considered like okay, triple or double. I don't care. Triple wash is considered a
What
wash.
about with the kavina?
I mean, it's not just a rinsing it off. It's wash it.
You can't rinse your kavina.
Right. That's probably why he brings the example of meat. And my chavruta Josh Gersten, he points out in the bottom of this book, he made the footnote. He says, "Don't say that Ashkenazim prohibit this. Just they only prohibit it without washing."
Okay, so do you buy kosher cheese or kosher lepesach cheese on Pesach?
So if the cheese itself has no chametz inside of it, see what's the whole concern? Everything about Halacha of Pesach is built on this feeling of maybe there was chametz somewhere in that factory, somewhere in that place, somewhere in that. Maran doesn't care. Maran is telling you, even if the Mishnah wasn't, even if there was actual chametz in there, who cares?
I think
That pretty much would shut down the entire kashrut industry of Pesach. And I didn't make this. I specifically wanted to read this to you, not from Rabbi Bar Yosef, because it's important for you to know that it's not an invention. I'm not relying on a leniency of Rabbi Bar Yosef. It's a halacha in the Shulchan Aruch. You want to be strict? It's okay. You can be strict. Make up whatever rules you want, but don't lie to the people that your orange juice somehow needs to be made on machinery that didn't process chametz orange juice. Yeah.
reduce the GDP of
Let me read you the second halakha and see what time it is. Let me just read you. I'm going to read you this one from Rabbi Bar Yosef. Rabbi Bar Yosef takes us one step further. Umirkachat. So you might think it's only about cold things like pickling or salting. Maybe what about heat? What about pots? Umirkachat. What is mirkachat? It's riba. What is riba?
It's like a
Jam.
like a cream. or
Jam.
jam.
Oh, right, he's right. Ribat chalav is caramel. Why do they call it that? How do you say caramel in Spanish?
Caramelo, what?
What do you call
Canela,
it?
no.
Caramelo?
No, the flavor, like not the you fill a donut with. They call it dulce de leche. no?
Dulce de
Caramelo,
leche,
isn't it? Caramelo, dulce de leche, that one.
Dulce de leche translates into Hebrew as ribat chalav, the sweet of the milk. Yeah. I mean, it's different build up than the English word. So mirkachat is a cooked food, like jam. Shenasta it doesn't have to be jam. It could be anything. It just Rabbi Yosef is mentioning something common that you would go to the shuk and buy. Jam. You go there. There's a guy who makes jam, one who makes chalva, one who makes so. Shenasta b'shal yemot hashana b'kelim regilim shel chametz. Let's say you have jam that you made in your house. Imagine this, in your chametz pot. For sure, it's a chametz pot. You made it when? 3 months ago. Were you thinking about Pesach 3 months ago? No. That ladle, was it kasher for Pesach? No. That pot, was it kasher for Pesach? You might have made something chametz yesterday, pasta in there. V'lo nizharu l'shomra michashash chametz. And you were not particular then to make your jam kosher for Pesach. You weren't careful about chametz. Mutar leochla bePesach. It's permitted ideally to eat this on Pesach. Ho'il v'stam kelim enam bnei yoman. Being that your average pots and pans were not used for chametz in the last 24 hours before you cooked it. V'havei le noten tam nifgam shemutar, and you don't care to have chametz flavor from the pots inside of your food, and therefore it's not considered a good flavor. Wheat flavor in your raspberry jam is not a flavor you're looking for, and therefore it's considered a flavor you don't want. V'od sharei ze kenoten tam banoten tam dehetera, and because it's a nat bar nat, the chametz gave flavor into the pot. The pot is giving flavor back into the jam. That would be prohibited if chametz was pig. If you would cook your jam in a pig pot, you wouldn't be allowed to eat it. But because chametz before Pesach is not prohibited, it's just kosher bread. There's no prohibition of pig before Pesach. And therefore that chametz which gets expleted back into your jam, in your imagination, is not a problem even if it was there. Because it's not considered a prohibited food yet until Pesach comes. HaChametz tam tam bakli, the chametz gave flavor in the pot. HaKli b'mekachat, the pot gives flavor back into the jam. V'adayin hakol heter, and today all of this is still kosher food. Ho'il v'nasa kotem Pesach, because you did this before Pesach, you're allowed to do this on an ideal level. So all of the foods that you buy that were made in chametz pots and pans, or whatever they tell you, the vegetables you buy was made in chametz machinery, whatever they're going to tell you.
Doesn't matter.
Who made that up? No, everybody wants to be strict. I don't want to even think about chametz. That's your problem. That's your obsessive compulsive disorder, not my halakha.
So you could take chicken, cooked chicken in a chametz pot.
Sure, all the cooking you do before Pesach, you can do in your chametz pots and pans. As long as you haven't used them in 24 hours. Which most of your pots and pans you haven't used in 24 hours.
And you're Sephardic.
Why? This is not
Because the Ramah says that you have to wash.
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 But even the Ramah doesn't consider chametz. That's a stringency Ramah brings, not a halakha. Ramah says that the chatchila, they follow the dissenting opinion, but that's not a prohibition. He only brings it as a custom. Yeah.
But, I mean,
you're right. So this would become a major game changer. Can you imagine though how many millions of dollars you could save the Jewish people collectively on Pesach if we taught this halakha?
Well, what makes you or someone obligated to follow the stringency is the question.
That's a good question.
well, I mean, you chose the Moran to follow, and the Ramah's opinion is embedded in the Shulchan Aruch.
That's right.
So-
I don't take away from the greatness of the Ramah. What I will question though is as follows. From all the Jews who are going to keep kosher for Pesach this year, how many of them are Orthodox, observant of halakha?
Only a percentage.
I think we're a minority of the people who buy kosher for Pesach products.
Right.
That means that all those Jews that they don't even keep Shabbat, they don't even pray. Why do they have to follow a stringency of the Ramah just because their grandparents came from Krakow? And that's what I'm explaining to you. I would say the same thing for a Sephardic person who is buying meat that's not glatt kosher. They're not observant of halakha. Then why should they, or why can they not rely on the leniency of the Ashkenazi Chachamim to permit non-glatt kosher meat? As long as it's kosher?
That's it.
I mean, they're not, yeah, if he was the son of the Rambam, we'd talk about it, but he's not. In the place where he is in his life today, he's not there.
So the difference is you have to wash your pot before you use it?
The truth is to make your pot kosher. But Chaim, I'm telling you the truth, is that even according to the Ramah, I would permit to make your food and this is where I was coming from, by the way, with the whole mocha mix thing that made people upset. The whole push of your pots and pans contaminating something is talking about pigs, it's talking about meat and milk mixtures, it's talking about actual prohibitions. Chametz before Pesach is not a prohibition. You're allowed to eat bread today?
Yeah.
Are you allowed to mix bread with vegetables today? The bread that you mix with vegetables, are they kosher? So then,
What's wrong?
you understand what happens here? Chametz only becomes prohibited at the nighttime of Pesach. Or okay, well, after you burn the chametz. After you burn the chametz, fine. All of the things. Oh, Rabbi, how do you know? Maybe the machine, maybe the pot, maybe the thing, maybe the... So what? Even if, Mishabra says, even if there were breadcrumbs there, who cares? It sounds crazy for you? I know, really learning halakha sounds crazy. You know how much stress we could save people? My goal, when I wrote this book, my goal, Yehi Shalom, to tell the truth, was Pesach is my favorite holiday. Purim is a cute holiday for me. I enjoy it, I appreciate it. Pesach is my favorite 8 days of the year. I cannot tell you how much I love this holiday. And I realized very quickly into my teaching career that nobody else likes Pesach. I'm this lone guy who enjoys this holiday. And the men like it a little more than the ladies do. They don't have to do anything. They show up with their bellies on the table and they don't do anything. Yeah. But sometimes there are ladies already from Purim, they're slaving away is the correct word. And if it stopped before Pesach and then they were liberated, it would be okay. But 8 days of Pesach, they're also slaves. Yehi Shalom, let there be peace. Let this holiday be easy. Not cutting corners. Easy means let's follow halakha. When our rabbis command you to make a blessing, Zaman Cherutein is a time of our freedom, and you're suffering, the rabbis were not making fun of you. Like sometimes you laugh, oh, the holiday of the redemption. Which redemption? We can't eat anything.
Food stamps.
We can't do anything. We can't afford this holiday. It's very nice for people who are able to afford all the kosher Pesach things.
Or even more, for the vacations at the
Well,
resorts.
what about the people who
the
call me every year?
$30,000 resorts.
Rabbi, we can't afford to make food for Pesach. We can't afford to make food for Pesach. Well, this and that. 2 years ago, I took a picture. Olive oil and wraps, $46.99.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
$46.99. You get cheaper
That was
oil if you
crazy.
want. You can buy cottonseed oil. It'll kill you faster.
Oh.
They sell that too in
I
big
know.
gallons.
They
Chaz
do?
v'shalom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They sell
Yeah,
that
cottonseed
oil.
oil. Oh, yeah.
You want to buy your containers in? You can put it in your
Take a picture.
Zecher Amalek. You're gonna put it on. No, you see people, everything that people are eating. The how much does a box of kosher for Pesach cereal cost you?
Oh, $9.85.
$9.80.
Really?
And it doesn't even taste good.
No.
And it's poisonous. And it's made out of, basically, the cookies are made out of potatoes with sugar and frosting. And the cereal is sugar with food coloring and potato. Everything is a potato in another form. People, usually people, they don't feel well by then Pesach comes around. Between the matzah and the potatoes, it's really
And
it's
the
a feeling
macaroons.
of heaviness.
Oh yeah.
And then you go somewhere, you would like to get a drink, you would like to buy something for the kids, you like to, oh, we can't do this, we can't do that, maybe this, maybe that was going to happen. I took my mom to the Wild Animal Park on Pesach, and I bought my kids popcorn. My mom, she wouldn't walk with me in the Wild Animal Park. Like, how can my son, but I went to the guy. Popcorn, but it's made by a non-Jewish person, so when does it, even if there was a Pramach Chametz, when does the bitul happen? Not when I buy it. It happened already by him. He's going to make a popcorn, not for me. He's making popcorn. I asked him, what is it? It's popcorn. What else do you put in there? Salt. What else? Oil. Which kind of oil? Which kind of oil is chametz? Find me a chametz oil.
Wheat oil. Wheat germ oil.
Any flavors? No. Any butters?
It's too
No.
expensive to
What's in the pop? What else is he making? He's making also hamburger buns in the popcorn machine. That's all he can make in the popcorn machine.
Yeah, all I can make.
But I have that freedom. Someone else goes and they pack their tuna fish in their backpack and their crackers, and that's all they have for the whole day. Some people don't even drink water. Remember the people who don't have water? They have to bring the bottled water. Even the juice you can, an apple juice, an orange juice, nothing. You think that's a holiday of redemption? And if I were to tell you, so don't care about halakha, so you have to feel free. That's last year when I was in LA. So what are you trying to say? So we don't have to keep halakha? I mean, no, you have to keep halakha. That's how you're going to feel free. If you learn halakha, you're going to feel free. If you don't learn halakha, you're going to feel like everybody else feels on Pesach. And the worst thing that one can do, after I taught my class Kehillat, is this: the worst thing one can do is to blame the feeling of oppression on, well, I'm Ashkenazi. Say very carefully. And I'm very particular that in the respect of the rabbis of Ashkenaz. The rabbis of Ashkenaz were not stupid. The rabbis of Ashkenaz were not stupid. They knew halakha well, and even the customs that they had to refrain from certain things, they limited severely. The rabbis of your generation, not so much. They decided that the customs of the rabbis before them who were literate, they're going to treat as illiterate people. That's their problem. But don't blame it on Ashkenazi. Don't blame. So okay. So like I said, Moshe. So you're not gonna have the corn tortilla. Big deal. Have a potato tortilla. I don't know what you're gonna eat. So you skip 5 things extra than we skip. That's it. Zell, stop with the fanaticism. The machines and the frozen vegetables and the pasta machines. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. Enjoy yourselves. Well,